And now, a Global Warming Minute with Al Gore.
Hi, I'm Al Gore, and today I'm here in Nome, Alaska, where it's a crisp 21 degrees. The ice is stunning, and there's a beautiful, full-grown Kodiak bear just off behind us about 200 yards. He's trying to catch a fish in that icy stream, but he's not having much luck because the ecosystem is out of balance, and there aren't any fish left in that stream. It's been destroyed by rampant global warming, and this gentle giant will soon be dead, killed by man's irresponsibility. Is that what you want? You want to see a bear die? A cute little bear? Is that how you get your kicks? Huh? Is it? Well, I'm not going to let him die. I am one with nature, and I will personally save this majestic northern brown bear from extinction. I have a fish for him, which I will now feed to him just like his mother used to before he grew to be 700 pounds and 11 feet tall. You think George Bush would come out here and feed a bear? No, he's hiding on his ranch down in Texas. Now I'm going to put the fish in my mouth, and the bear, recognizing that it's me, Al Gore, friend to all animals, will gently take the fish from my mouth and eat it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, Lord! Oh, oh, shit! Oh, God! Oh, this was a bad idea! Oh, what the was I thinking? Help me, Jesus! Help me!
This has been a Global Warming Minute with Al Gore.
Welcome again to Mark Mosley Show. You guessed it, Mark Mosley, and that little piece of comedy is from my vault. That's a radio sketch that I put together back in 2005 during the Bush administration. That's how many decades I have been mocking climate hysteria because they just keep moving the goalposts. I recently saw this. When it comes to environment and climate change, they're recycling the old hysteria. Here's a perfect example of that. Glacier National Park, for years, had a sign that was put up that said the glaciers would be gone by 2020. Then it got kind of awkward in 2020 when 2020 came and went and the glaciers were still there. And so instead of apologizing, instead of going, well, we missed the mark on that one. We got that one wrong. They just changed out the sign and pushed it back to probably 2030. The glaciers will be gone by 2030. And I remember John Kerry said in 2009, there's video of it, you can go check it out on YouTube, in 5 years, we will have the first ice-free Arctic summer. Well, no, that didn't happen. 16 years ago, CBS News quoted a study, Arctic ice will melt within 10 years. The North Pole will turn into an open sea within a decade, according to data released by a team of explorers who trekked through the Arctic for 3 months. Then, CBS News again on March 5th last year posted this very similar, could the Arctic be ice-free within a decade? They just keep moving the goalpost. I love this post from X, a username Donnie Ferguson, at Donnie Ferguson. I'm going to attribute this to you. The climate change industry is that furniture store with the going out of business sign that's faded by the sun. Bingo. Exactly. Nailed it. You know, I started thinking about this week because a friend of mine who I've known for over 20 years, she said to me, do you know how much China is involved in pushing climate change science in the West? And so I looked into it. I went down that rabbit hole and asked AI, are there climate change studies underwritten or funded by Chinese interests? And the answer came back, yes. Here's a breakdown of what's been publicly reported, backed by verifiable sources. Energy Foundation China, EFC, funding U.S. research. EFC is a nonprofit operating out of San Francisco and closely tied to former Chinese government officials. and they have funneled grants into U.S. climate initiatives. In 2023, it allocated $630,000 to universities, including Harvard, UC Berkeley, UCLA, UMD, for research on clean energy and low-carbon urban planning. It has also directed $1.5 million toward climate-focused nonprofits such as the Rocky Mountain Institute and the NRDC. In past years, it provided over $1 million in total to a Department of Energy National Lab for Green Energy Research. So wait a minute, not the Chinese government is funding our government research projects? But don't worry, EFC has formally said they received no funding from governments or from the CCP to promote climate change research / hysteria. Meanwhile, they just finished building over the last 5 years like over 100 coal-fired plants. To be fair, China is also building quite a spectacular wind and solar infrastructure, but they are funding climate change, and they seem to have a vested interest in making sure that in the West, we really, really still believe that the climate is changing. Yes, the climate is changing. The climate's always changing. And yes, man's activity does drive some of that climate change, but to what degree? I've never understood, okay, what is the target and what is the end goal? When can we say, hey guys, we defeated climate change. Yeah, it's Miller time. We did it, guys. We defeated climate change. We beat the sun. We beat the thermo energy being generated from inside the Earth's core. We did it. So I started back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I started making these Al Gore global warming minutes. I have dozens of these. Would you like to hear another one?
And now, a global warming minute with Al Gore.
Hi, I'm Nobel and Oscar winner Al Gore, and today I'm near Indian Peak in Colorado, here to shut the flapping pie holes of all you global warming naysayers who like to say, well, Al Gore, what about the big snowstorm that the U.S. is having this week? How does that fit into your global warming? Simple, it's not real snow. That's right, George W. Bush has secret teams of snow-blowing black helicopters that fly around under the cover of night, covertly blowing man-made snow onto major cities to fool you into thinking that global warming, as the kids say, ain't happening, Daddy. The truth is, there is no more snow on the earth. It's been warmed into extinction. And when it comes to a big, giant mountain like the one behind me, painted on. That's right, it's sprayed on by more black helicopters that fly around with giant paint sprayers. Think I'm crazy? Well, I'll prove my theory by firing this shotgun at the mountain peak directly behind me. Now, if that was real snow and not just white spray paint, an avalanche would come crash. What is that rumbling sound? Oh, God. Maybe that. Yep, it's real snow. Well, don't worry. I'm Al Gore, friend to all animals. I will just call a pair of bald eagles who will come and lift me up and fly me away to safety.
Quack! 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 Quack!
Well, that's not working. Maybe I'd better run! Oh, Jesus!
This has been a Global Warming Minute with Al Gore.
It's Mark Mosley Show. I'm Mark Mosley. Don't forget to follow me on social media at Mark Mosley, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, Mosley. Speaking of China, you know we love the Babylon Bee on this show. We love this. 10 undeniable reasons communist China is way better than America. Glory to glorious leader, President Xi. If you listen to the news media, it's clear that America has become the most horrible and oppressive country in the world, which means people should be looking for a better place to live, like communist China. The Babylon Bee has compiled the following list of examples of how China is way better than living in America. 1. 0 global pandemics started in the last 4 years. Wow, 4 years in a row is impressive. 2, total freedom of speech from within your 4x4 confinement cell. You can literally say anything you want in there. Very generous. 3, there are a million places to learn Kung Fu. Everyone in China is a martial arts master. 4, the government will harvest all your extra unnecessary organs for free. Convenient. 5, gay characters are all edited out of movies, the way God intended it. Quoting the Babylon Bee here. 6, the president is the most handsome fellow in the world and does not look anything like Winnie the Pooh. He looks like Robert Redford, only even more handsome. And he's so smart. Trump must be very jealous. 7, nobody has to deal with the hassle of elections. Just watch the state-run news to find out who your new leaders are. Much more relaxing. 8, they have gongs. You bang on them and they make a huge noise. Do you have a gong? Didn't think so. 9, slave labor keeps production costs super low, as long as you're okay being the slave. And 10, authentic Chinese food. Available to everyone with a social credit score of at least 5,000. Don't act like the reasons listed above don't have you packing your bags to move to China.
It's Mark Mosley Show. Follow Mark on X, Instagram, and Facebook at Mark Mosley. And subscribe for new episodes weekly on your favorite podcast platform.
And now, Shallow Thoughts by Al Ibril. When Democrats gerrymander, it's to better represent their constituency. When Republicans gerrymander, it's an evil power grab and a threat to our democracy. Well, Donald Trump kicked it up a notch. Bam! By federalizing the police force in D.C. Of course, the media is losing their minds.
I should note that the most violent moment in recent history in D.C. was January 6th. And it was an attack on the United States Capitol by a lot of people who were doing it in the name of Donald Trump.
Ah, yes, January 6th. January 6th. Let's dust that old chestnut off.
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
And of course, the people in D.C., they don't want a savior. They don't want to be saved.
Whose city? Our city. Whose city? Our city. Free D.C. Free D.C.
They don't want to be saved. Please don't save us from the criminals. We want Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. Is your message, no, we don't want help in reducing crime? Here's why. I'm going to tell you why the left is so mad about this. It's just one more example of, because what Democrats do is they say, give us power and we'll fix the problem. Okay? Republicans do it too. But it never got done. But the minute Trump says, okay, I'll do it, now everybody's mad. We're just going to do it. We're just going to go in there and we're going to clean up the city of D.C. and you're not going to believe it. It's going to be so beautiful. It's going to be so much better. Meanwhile, over on CNN, they were deriding actor Dean Cain, who decided he was going to join ICE.
There's a massive amount of recruitment going on because they now have a huge amount of money to hire new ICE
in the
agents.
Superman community.
And so,
I mean, that's Dean.
But I'm just telling you, like,
he's effectively going to be an honorary sheriff.
But having someone like that out touting it, talking about, hey, this is a thing you can do for your government. This is public service. It's going to help them recruit, and they have a bunch of people to recruit.
Yeah. It's not 95. Nobody gives a Sam hell what Dean Cain
You
does.
may not. In you don't, but in the conservative community,
Dean ain't worked in a while. Dean needs the 50,000. That's what got Dean off the couch. Dean ain't worked in a while.
All right, let me just stop you right there. Do you know how many projects Dean was acted in 2024? 17. He has 15 projects currently in production. The consensus on his net worth seems to be that he's worth about $10 million, which to the left is more than anyone needs. Right, guys? Right? So no, Dean Cain does not need the ICE agent job. He probably needs to pay his fair share, if anything. I don't like when the left does this with actors. Having worked in show business a little bit myself, a little bit. But in show business, people have career arcs. And look, sometimes you're on top of the world and you've got your own network TV show that you're starring in. And then sometimes you don't. But that doesn't take away your body of work. That doesn't take away the Emmys on the shelf. Personally, I will likely never top 2004. That was the year that Mulan 2 came out, which was the culmination of a lifelong dream for me to be associated with Walt Disney, who was my childhood hero. And as a kid, I dreamed about being connected to him in some way. And then it happened when I got to do Mulan 2. That was also the year that Shrek 2 came out. And I had 2 small parts in that movie, which got me on the residual train for that movie, which was massive. But yes, careers have arcs. Elton John is quoted as saying, yes, my days on pop radio are over. And I know that, and I accept it, and I'm not unhappy about it. Although a couple of years ago, I think he had like 2 hits in a row, one of them with Britney Spears. And he also said something to the effect of, you may not be topping the charts, but if you've got a body of work that people love, they will come out and see you perform all the old songs. So, pity poor Elton John, I guess. He's just a loser, right? So, lay off Dean Cain. And now on Mark Mosley Show, it's time for Church Chat with Matt. Well, isn't that special? That's an 80s reference, which you won't get.
No, apparently not.
Being a young man in your 20s.
It's from SNL, if I'm not
yes,
mistaken, correct? Yeah.
Dana Carvey.
The
church lady. Well, isn't that special?
Isn't that special?
Who put that idea in your head? Could it have been, I don't know, Satan? That was the big running joke that they had on that show.
Back when SNL actually had taste.
They had
everything.
And they had good writers.
Stuff. It pretty much ended with Will Ferrell, and that was it.
We can agree on that. Okay, so this is a segment where you and I, who are father and son, we're of the same denomination. We're both believers.
Yes.
But we don't necessarily agree on everything. For example, I think in the past you and I have had disagreements about cessationism.
Yes.
For people that don't know what that means, what that word means, it is the idea that miracles were pretty much a first century thing.
Correct.
Because the Holy Spirit needed to work in bold ways to get the church off the ground. And now the concept is among many believers today, you can pick it up from there, that
yeah, I would say that cessationism, the big idea is that the sign gifts that are talked about in a number of the Pauline epistles, namely speaking in tongues, the gift of healing, gift of prophecy, they were issues that were key within the church because people needed to see the working of the Holy Spirit in order to validate the message of the apostles. I think that overwhelmingly, at least within the younger generations right now, the charismatic movement, it's probably at its highest that it's been because it drives off of the emotional value of worship. And so one of the big things is that a lot of young people want that rush. They want that feeling. They want excitement. They feel that their lives are likely very dull because of the repetitiveness of every day checking your phone, doom scrolling, all that stuff. So when you've got this movement that emphasizes the working of the Holy Spirit and high stakes emotion, that's naturally going to draw a crowd. However, I will say that I think that there is a pendulum swing in the other direction, that a lot of people are looking at non-denominational Christianity. I think that Orthodoxy, Catholicism are experiencing a surge because of people like Donald Trump, people that are in government right now that are bolstering for traditional values, the rise of the Western political mindset. That is pushing back into the spotlight things like Catholicism and Orthodox practice.
So, which brings us to the first thing that I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
And that is this post that Pete Hegseth posted that had a lot of people on the far left freaking out because, one of the boogeymen that they always see is that we're going to we're going to have, like, we're just one strong man leader away from having some kind of theocracy.
Yeah.
Where, it's the Handmaid's Tale, and women are all subjugated, and it's it's this Christian authoritarian rule for America. And so they see that hiding around every corner. And so when Pete Hegseth posted what he did...
Yeah, so you're talking specifically about that Doug Wilson piece?
Right. Doug Wilson is his name.
Yeah.
So dig into the details. They talked to one of his congregants who, it was a man and his wife, and the woman was like, yes, I totally submit to my husband.
Yeah, the biggest problem with CNN, naturally, is that they're just going to straw man everything.
Yeah.
And they're going to do the overgeneralization fallacy of,
caricature. This must be all Christians.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Christian men secretly want to subjugate their wives.
Right. If they can propagate this caricaturized version of what Christianity actually is, then they can convince the masses overwhelmingly that it is an immediate threat that needs to be neutralized, that it is the exact opposite of what the Bible actually calls the Christian faith and modern Christian living. It's so...
I mean, look,
yeah,
just in our very own household, under this roof.
Yeah.
Your mom. Is she going to allow me to subjugate her?
No.
No.
Because,
no. Now, look, there are women out there that are cool with this.
Yeah.
But that's because that's their mindset. They want to let their husband lead and they want to follow.
Right. But that doesn't also mean that there aren't times where she does recognize that the final decision you make on something, or even just an opinion that you might have on something, is blatantly it makes more sense to go with that thing. So I think that naturally the way in which husbands and wives are rooted, when you understand the strife that's going on within the realm of a marriage, Satan wants to attack the family. He wants to go after the family dynamic. He wants to go after the covenant of marriage, because it is one of the first things that God creates outside of the natural creation itself, outside of the cosmos and outside of the earth and everything in it. He creates man, and then from man he creates woman, and then he creates the covenant of marriage.
And he knows that it's the very glue that holds all of civilization together.
Correct. Without it, you have complete chaos. You have everybody doing whatever they feel like at any point in time. The covenant of marriage is, for most people, at least my age, they think it's a trap. They think it is something that, I have to commit to one person for the rest of my life, and I never get to enjoy the pleasures of sex outside of marriage and adultery and all these different fornication. Especially with the rapid rise of pornography. I mean, just all of these things are in tension with each other. And I think that Satan is going to do whatever he can, and is succeeding, at least from our vantage point in the West, to completely emasculate the man and neutralize him. Get him into such a slave mindset when it comes to the pleasures of the flesh that he has no idea that he's been completely neutralized and almost neutered in a sense. I mean, you look at most men today, not only do you see a correlation between, for example, the rapid rise and consumption of pornography and the manner in which not only men treat women, but also then behave in society. There are guys who just overwhelmingly will do whatever it is they feel like, because they don't feel like they have any consequences to their actions. And that's part of the problem. When you look at something, for example, like pornography, the overwhelming thing is, I can take whoever is in this imagery, whoever is in these videos, and use them as an object, and there's nobody who's going to come around and actually tell you, no, that's wrong.
So what I want to put a fine point on, to go back to I think the original concern or question that people listening might have is that this pastor that Hegseth is referring to, do you see something like this as a movement? And if it is a movement, I mean, obviously we as Christians say, well, it's not an unhealthy movement, because what we do kind of need to do, I think, in our society and Western culture is kind of restore the balance of man and woman.
Yeah.
And say there are clearly defined roles, and those things worked for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And now that we're in this this era where we've upended all of that. We've upended gender roles. And we've upended the man's role in society and the woman's role in society and their roles in marriage and their roles in a family. Now, all of a sudden, look, we have chaos everywhere.
Yeah, so a couple things. First of all, I think probably one of the best resources that you could get your hands on if you want to learn more about the biblical principles of the roles of men and women within Christianity, or more specifically in the church, is called Men and Women in the Church by Kevin DeYoung. I've read through it. It's a short biblical practical introduction on the concept of, complementarianism and egalitarianism, all that stuff. Like how do we view the roles between men and women? What I will say about Doug Wilson is that there's a lot of things that I disagree with him on regarding eschatological
and I do too. Yeah, I do too.
I think part of the biggest problem with, and this is something that I might take a minority view on as compared to most evangelical Christians in America today, is that this hyperfixation on what I can only call prophetic dispensational Christian nationalism, if you can name it anything, is that we have, on both sides, on both the left and on the right, have glorified people to a status of Messiah that they cannot fulfill. And the problem is that both sides have no problem assuming that role, failing miserably at it, and then blaming the other side for their failures. For example, I think that way too many people have a problem pointing out no wrong whatsoever with people like Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris. But what I will say, though, is that there are people on the right who also do the same thing, where they say, oh, well, Trump can do no wrong. No, I disagree. I think that he is a very, very flawed human being, just like I think Joe Biden is a flawed human being. Same thing with Barack Obama, Kamala Harris. And this has nothing to do with, gender roles or skin color. Sin is sin. And I think that when you look at a guy, and I'm getting to a point here, when you look at a guy like Doug Wilson, one of the views that he holds is postmillennialism. Part of the problem with postmillennialism is that it heavily involves the church playing a crucial role in introducing Christ to the rest of the world. It assumes that everything is going to get better as time goes on, that the majority of the world, that the nations will come to Christ. And though we want that,
but I don't think the Bible ever says that.
Well, there are places, obviously, where people have credible enough information to try and make an argument for it. What my dilemma is that I'm looking around outside of the West. People are dying for the faith in droves.
Boko Haram and ISIS.
Yeah.
In places like Nigeria.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Sri Lanka, all these, Tibet.
And we think in the West, because it's not happening here, it's not happening.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, people are getting their heads cut off simply because they believe in Jesus. So listen, I want to pivot to, because you kind of gave me an opening a couple of minutes ago.
Sure.
This former megachurch youth pastor, John Pavlovitz.
Yeah.
Now, I've been aware of this guy for a while. He's a very anti-Trump, liberal social media person. I suspect he may be one of those folks that the Democrat Party, the DNC, has on their payroll, that they pay him to post stuff. On August 2nd, on his Substack, went really out there with saying that he believes it's impossible to be a good person and support Trump. He says some really, really interesting things. He says this president is not a good human being. And so then he says that anyone who is defending him, applauding him, justifying him, celebrating him, probably is also a terrible human being.
Right.
Quote, at this point, the only reason left to support a man like this is that he reflects your hateful heart. He shares your contempt of people of color, your hostility towards outsiders, your toxic misogyny, your ignorant bigotry, and your feelings of supremacy. He says things you believe and hurts the people you want to hurt. I really think he ought to be working kids' birthday parties, because he paints quite a broad caricature.
Yeah.
The left likes to do stuff like this. They like to take certain qualities that they've decided that if you think this, then you must also be A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
And just go ahead and label you with it. So, just to be clear, I have a problem with a lot of stuff when it comes to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He is not my savior.
No.
He is not America's Messiah. Please don't look at him like that, guys.
Yeah.
We can't just throw everything in his lap and think President Trump will fix this country.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to do the work too. He is a deeply flawed human being. I've said before on this podcast, the man paid a porn star hush money to say, I didn't have sex with you when my wife was pregnant.
Yeah.
A deeply, deeply flawed human being. But I always say, Jesus ain't running for president.
No.
And we unrepentant sinners always have to pick between two unrepentant sinners.
Yeah.
Every single election cycle. So what you gonna do?
Right.
I had to either pick Donald Trump or Kamala Harris.
Right.
Is John Pavlovitz suggesting that Kamala Harris is, that she's got a golden flaming chariot waiting outside to take her straight to heaven?
Right.
Because she's no saint either.
She's no Elijah. Yeah.
Right.
Who, by the way, in the Bible was a very deeply flawed human being.
Thank you.
Wanted to take his own life.
As was Moses.
Did not
as
trust in
was
God.
David.
Exactly.
Yes.
One of the problems I think that and this is, it falls on deaf ears with John Pavlovitz that, first of all, I'm not honestly trying to dog on somebody, but I think it's very hilarious when your most credible thing is that you're a former youth pastor.
Okay.
Right? Like, and this is coming from a guy who does youth
mega
ministry.
church.
Yeah, a mega church youth pastor.
Even worse.
Which, I mean, this is coming from a guy who teaches youth ministry every week. Not that I'm not proud of what I do, but you got to be, you're what, in your 60s? John Pavlovitz, almost 60 years old.
I don't know.
I'm looking at his Wikipedia. He was born in 1969, so he's 56. For that to be the only thing that you are known for outside of your liberalism on social media, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's a little sad because it shows that he wasn't really able to go farther into the meat and potatoes than that of just simply presenting the gospel to a bunch of kids. Now, granted, they need to hear it. But here's a problem that I have. He assumes that you can't be both, quote, a good person and a Trump supporter. He should know better than anybody else, especially as a person who teaches the scriptures, that Romans 3:23 says that all have fallen short of the glory of God and are deserving of death, that there is none good, no, not one, that everybody does whatever is good in his own sight.
It's not a sliding scale.
It's not.
It's
there is
it's
God
A
and,
or B.
Yeah,
it's light or dark.
Right. There is no gray area in the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
It is that everybody has fallen short of the standard and is everybody classified as sinner. It is only when God's grace reaches down into the pits of your despair, of your depravity, and he pulls you out in his kindness and his mercy and his sovereign grace that you are put into this separate category, not of being better than other people, but simply having come to the conclusion that Christ is Lord, that he's been resurrected from the dead, that he was crucified for your sins, and you now inherit the blessings and the grace, and you are adopted into the family of God. There is still a tension, though, of you still being a sinner, and we know this because of Romans 6 and 7.
Right.
There is a tension. You're both a sinner and a saint at the same time.
Right.
And John Pavlovitz should know this better than anybody.
Well,
so for him to take this idea that, well, you could be a good person. No, you can't. Outside of Christ, you cannot.
You're absolutely right. That just hit me in the face. He's saying you can't be a Trump supporter and be a, quote, good person.
Here's the thing.
There is no one good. And now I get it. I get what you're saying.
From the perspective,
his point is moot.
Let's go to the other side of the political scale. If you look at the left, especially if you're going to be a youth pastor, you're going to want to teach from a pro-life stance. I cannot in good conscience go and vote for somebody like Kamala Harris, not because she's a woman, but because she is fundamentally pro-choice, she is pro-abortion. You cannot be a good person and vote for and support Kamala Harris.
So you could play the same game that John Pavlovitz is playing.
You could play the same exact game.
Yeah. Just to put a button on what you said, John Pavlovitz, there is no one good. No, not one. So you're right and wrong at the same time, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt, thank you so much. We got to do this again. What is your podcast?
Yeah, I have a podcast that's available on Spotify, soon to be on Apple Music and other platforms as well. It's also available on my YouTube. You can find that, Matt Mosley, last name spelled Moseley, same as this host right here. It's a podcast called Led by the Shepherd. It is about the fact that, you know, this culture has lost its way and the shepherd's voice is clear. And so I talk about a number of subjects. It's primarily geared at Gen Z and millennials, but it's really for any age and anybody who will listen.
Good man. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's Mark Mosley Show.
And now, a global warming minute with Al Gore.
Al Gore here in the forests of Cameroon and Africa, where it's so hot your global warmifying is causing dire consequences for our animal friends. That's right, every time you crank up your Hummer, another cute little spider monkey dies. We've got to save these animals from climate change, and if you won't do it, I will. Right now, I'm disguised as an African lowland gorilla. I'm standing about 100 feet from a group of these gentle giants, several females and a rather large male, say about 450 pounds. He's a big fella. But that little one there, the baby, he's the one I'm here to save. By luring him away into a truck and taking him to live with me in my lovely air-conditioned mansion. Come here, little one. It's okay. I'm just a gorilla like you, a gorilla who can talk. Come with me, Al Gore, friendly stranger gorilla, who will save you from global warming and... the male is here. He's gonna want to fight me, and I'll probably be very badly injured. He's just sniffing me and stroking my fur. Why does my costume have the same markings as the female gorillas? Oh, dear God.
This has been a Global Warming Minute with Al Gore.
I told you, I got dozens of those. I could do this all day. It's Mark Mosley Show. I'm Mark Mosley, and thank you for listening. Please follow me on social media at Mark Mosley on all platforms, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can find this show there. You can also find it on Spreaker. Give us a thumbs up, a heart, a review, whatever you can. We greatly appreciate it. It's time to wrap up the show, as we always do, with our Doofus of the Week. Adam Garnett was busted running a drug ring in Blackpool in the UK because someone involved with his gang snitched. Adam and several others in his gang, in fact 15 people in all, were arrested with the help of the snitch, who is affectionately known simply as Mango. Their drug operation was initially revealed when a sweep of Adam's cell, that's right, he was already in jail, revealed that he had cell phones and Wi-Fi routers. Yeah, he was pretty much running his illegal activities from prison, like Denzel in American Gangster. The cell phones led police to the homes of several of Adam's gang, including one Shannon Hilton, where Mango also lived. There they found lots of drugs, including heroin and crack cocaine, plus lots of cash. And it was when they looked at videos on Shannon's phone, that's where they found videos of Mango playing with piles of drug money and saying the phrase, 2 for $25, which is drug slang. To make it worse, the video shows Shannon and the gang teaching Mango to say 2 for $25 in front of children in the home. Mango was a snitch. But you can't really get mad at Mango. You see, Mango is a parrot. The parrot was taught to say 2 for $25. And police used Mango's videos, like the ones of him playing in piles of drug money, to help secure convictions for Shannon, Adam, and the rest of the gang. It's the age-old cautionary tale, be careful what you teach your parrot to say. And no, Mango has not been charged with any crime, but then again, if he were, he'd be charged as a minor. Come on! That is gold, baby! Where are you going? Oh, come on! Come, don't leave! Well, that was uncalled for. All right, I'm Mark Mosley. You'll be back next time. Until then, may God bless you with health, joy, and wisdom.